Okay, Allegany State Park Red House. So down there is the entrance check-in down by my trailer. And this is the E loop, E1. This is pretty flat, pretty wide, lots of tree coverage. So no Starlink, but nice coverage, keep you cool. E1. And that one has power. I'm not sure if it's 30 or 50, but it does have power. E1. Okay, up the road. Bugs are out. Up the road is E2 to my right. Pretty level, a little bit off kilter, but big rock out there. E2 is 50 amp, and if this bug bites me, that'll be number 300 of the week. E2, 50 amps. All tree coverage. Okay, he's gonna die. E2. Up here on the left, we have E3. A little off camber, but nice, 50 amps. You got another site behind you there, but E3. And then across the road, we got E4. Nice little semi-level site here. Not too bad. E4. Back across the road, we have freshwater right there on the left side of the road. Coming up the hill here, we have E5, which drops off the hill a bit, so not totally level. We do have power. I believe that is 30 amps. And who keeps sending me messages? E5. Over here, E6, pretty level. Got a nice little setup there. E6. This is Red House area, Allegany State Park. And E loop is the biggest of all of the loops here at this park, at least in Red House. E7, we have here on the right, looks like 50 amp, pretty level. You're in the hub of the road. Just over here to the left is the bathhouse and showers and all that stuff, okay? So that was E7. E7, 50 amp. And then over here behind it is the D loop, which was the tenter site or boondocking, no power except for D7. D7 is the only one with power, but we already covered that. We're doing the E loop. E is in Edward, or Eddie, or Edna, or whatever. Okay, let's continue on to E. E campsites. Look at that. I was right. E8 to 39. That is the most. It has rained for 6 days, so everything's wet. It's the way it goes. Okay, coming up on the left here, this site drops down off the road, so as you can see, you're going to need some jacks in the back. Fire pit there. E8. That is E8. And I know it's got power. See that? Can't tell what it is. E8. Over here, E9. And this is the one nobody can figure out. E9 is 50 amp. It's not very big. Obviously, it doesn't get used a lot. It goes back there, which is uphill, and that's quite a grade. Rode my mountain bike up there, which dead ends, by the way. But I just don't get this one either. But anyways, that is E9. I would stay away from that one, unless that's what you want. E9. Over here we got E10 and fresh water. Picked up water there the first year we came here. E10 drops off the road, levels off. Really nice little site here. Lots of trees around you. Not Starlink compatible, but you got water, baby. So E10, okay. This one's E11. Once you get up in there, it's sort of level. E11 has power also. You're really tucked back in the trees here. E11. Over here on this side we have E12, nice and flat, kind of small, 30 amp service, but nice little site. E12. Right across the road from the trio, which is E13, 14, and 15. And this is usually where you find groups of people, which we're going to try and snag this next time. So E13 here, tucked back into the woods. Again, seen a lot of rain, so everything's muddy. E14. And by the way, I think Starlink on any of these, E13, 14, or 15. So that's the trio, okay? And then you can stick your friends over here in E12 and they should be really happy because it's very nice. And there's water right beside them back in there. So, E-loop. Over here on the left, we got E16, nice and level, decent size, got 50 amp service, open sky for a while, yeah. North is, I believe, that direction. You'd get some Starlink if you had to, you know, stick the thing out here by the road, whatever. E16. Over here, E17. Soggy from the rains, but nice, tucked back in, levels off pretty good. E17 got power. I'm thinking that's 50, but don't quote me. Yes, looks like 50 amp. Okay, E17. And I'm pretty sure you could get some Starlink out of this site somewhere. Woodpecker's making a mess out of that tree. Okay, so that's E17. Coming up on the right, we've got E18 tucked back in the trees there. Look at that. A little soggy today. E17 does have power. I think that's 30, not positive. Okay. That was E18. E20 here. Got to do these in sequence, my wife says, so we'll pass by that first. Over here, E19. This is cool because, as you can see, it's kind of open to the next two sites. We were in one of these before down the road, and that makes nice group gatherings. Pretty level, not bad, nice site. Goes in, turns left there. That's E19, 30 amp. Okay, over here we got E20. Little off camber, not bad. You're nestled in these trees. It looks like a nice site. E20, lots of power there. E21, that goes back into the woods just a touch. A little bit off camber also. Gonna need some blocks. Not tragic. Got power. Okay. E21. E22, this is very nice. We just discovered this one today. Our friends want to snag this, I think. E22. I didn't look to see if that was 50 or not. The road is back there, but there's hardly anybody on it. You never hear anybody, so occasional Harley or something. E22, nice site. Looks to be quite level once you drop off the road here. E22. Okay, over here on this side, E23. This is level. This is one that combines with the other one that we just looked at back there. This is a 50 amp, and this is nice and level in there, and it does open up to the neighbors again if you want. You know, like I said, you could go there, E23, and then the next one. They all kind of join. E23 does have 50 amp. E24, nice. It's tucked back down in here off the road. This is 50 amp. It's very nice. It's a lot of tree coverage. The creek is down there behind you, babbling away. Nice site. Very nice site. E24. Okay, coming up on E25. This is the first year we were here. We did E25. This is a 50 amp. Didn't need it, but a small site, but relatively level once you get up in there. And again, it tags. There's a path over to 23 and one prior to it. So E25, 50 amper. And then over here is E26. Our friends were here the first year we were here. It drops down off the road. Once you get down off the road, it's pretty level down in there. That's a 50 amp site. We did some fire pits there. Did the wife's birthday there last year. E26 50 amp. And I don't know who had the big rig that dug up all this pavement here. I'll have to research that some more and see who did that. I'm not sure. It might have been somebody we know. I don't know. Probably not. Over here, E27, open, flat. Looks like 50 amp, not very wide. You could get a little Starlink if you had to. I'm not sure how much. That's the north direction there, so maybe not much. Over here we have a handicap E28. Okay, that's got blacktop in it. It's old but and mossy. I don't think it gets used a lot, but it's kind of cool. It wraps around in there a little bit. E28 is a nice site. E29 is also handicap, wheelchair accessible. There was some people in there today. Again, nice and nestled back in there. 50 amp service. E29, nice site. Coming up on the right, we got E30. E30, nice and level. Got power down there. I don't know what it is. It's either 30 or 50. E30. Over here we got E31. Blacktop site. Kind of wraps around a little bit. That's kind of different, but and I think that's just the 30 amp if I'm not mistaken. E31, excuse me. That's an E31, yes, E31. Okay, and then just past E31, there's a path that goes up to the bathhouse up in there. Okay, there's the path right there. Over here it's E32. Nestled back in some pines. As long as you don't mind the pine pitch. Got blacktop. E32. Nice site. Over here we've got E33. And that's semi-level back in there. Looks like they chopped some trees down. So interesting. E33. Okay. Coming up here is the E34. We got power in there. These guys have some killer tie-dye stuff. E34. Can't really see that obviously, but there is power on those sites in there. E35 right here. Also can't really tell. But they must be good if those guys got it. I think they know what they're doing. And here's E36, nice and tucked back in there. Big lifted Ford Super Duty, huh? E36 got power. E37 up here's got power. Relatively level. And then we're coming up on the last two, and then our rig, so E38. These are both pretty much flat, pretty open sky. North is that way. Okay, so E39, that's a 50 amp. Nice site, you kind of tuck back in there. And then that was E38, and this is E39 here, the last site before our site. And so that's the last of the E-loop. And then there's the entrance exit and camp host, Mark and Nancy. All right. Oh yeah, and there's our rig. And that's it for the E-loop. Thanks for watching.